about the Chicago Bulls and scatter. Everybody getting up out of here now. But
I actually gotta go.
Shut up, Joe. But no. Zach Lavine undergoing that season-ending injury. Of course, this was news basically last week pretty much, and over the weekend. Didn't get a chance to get to it, but this team is just in the same spot. And dog, when I look at Acme at this point, I used to look at them with smiles, with reverence.
I do have to roll, y'all.
Oh, you can't leave. You're here for this. No, you can't leave. You are here.
I made the lower third. I did my contribution. You got it. No,
get out of here. Get out of here.
He said, I ain't talking basketball.
I do have something to do at 6 o'clock. So
okay, all righty. All right.
Pop that again.
6:01 now. Watch.
I here's the part that's tough with all of this. And I think it's the only loophole that I can give to Acme. The Bears had the Bears. Hey, that's the team I'd rather talk about. The Bulls had to prove something to the NBA, and now it's gotten to the point where them proving it, and I do think they've proved it, has shot them in the foot. They had to prove that they were willing to be loyal to a player to a fault, because they hadn't proved that in 30 years? I mean, you had Jordan.
I was about to say Justin Fields, Derrick Rose.
Not at all. They got rid of him middle of his contract.
They got rid of him for Jimmy. They definitely tried to pin them against each other.
And then the coaching staff was like, yeah, we can get this one out of here. We can bring this one in. Well, not the coaching staff, I should say. The front office was like, we got to get Derek out of here. We can bring Jimmy in as the guy. And then they had Jimmy as the guy, and they literally were just like, we don't know what to do with this guy. Like the literal words out of the GM's mouth, we don't know how to build around Jimmy Butler. So I think, and a lot of people have said, well, players don't care about that, but players have talked about that. Players have gone on podcasts and talked about the loyalty aspect. That is why the Chicago Bulls had to pay Zach Lavine.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard from many people that there were people above the front office that did not want to pay Zach Lavine, but they realized the perception of their team. The perception of your team is a team that turns its back on you. The Chicago Bulls, as bad as it has been, have not turned their back on Zach Lavine until Zach Lavine said, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm done. I don't want to be a Bull. I want to be traded. Get me out of here. Now, what's funny about this is nobody wanted him. But how did they, did the Bulls kind of get I'm not going to say what you said yesterday. Did the Bulls get a advantageous situation by Zach Lavine going down? Because I do think that there's something to be said about still moving some of the pieces. We heard that Drummond is being looked at by many teams. He's got 4 teams possibly that want to make a trade for Drummond. Can you get a role player back for him? You've got DeMar DeRozan, who could be not. We got a timeline on Joel Embiid now. 4 weeks. Is Philly maybe back in on that? Now the funniest thing ever was that
Philly.
Hayes brought it to my attention that the report about the first round pick was immediately refuted by somebody that was actually in a position in Philly. Like, you got to stop. Like, what are you doing right now?
Mm-hmm.
But is Philly looking to bring a player back like DeMar DeRozan? Like, I think now you've got your young piece in Coby White. You see where the future is going for you. And this could be a situation very similar to what you should have done with the Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler situation, where Jimmy had surpassed Derrick as far as being healthy, as far as being able to go out there and give you consistent contribution. And as far, maybe not in star in Chicago, but as far as who the number one should have been on the team. Can you finally get that right here in Chicago? That's a situation that I think the Bulls have set in front of them right now.
I'm going to be honest with you, Pat. I tuned out like halfway through that. You want to know why? You want to know why, dog? They don't care. I'm going to tell you why they don't care. Anybody remember what the trade package was for Alex Caruso? Projected. I think Hayes is still in the chat. He can
2
definitely.
first-round picks.
Yeah.
And now they want an OG Anunoby trade.
OG Anunoby type trade. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do y'all remember what the trade was rumored for DeMar earlier this season, late last season?
When he was in
a lot of
MVP
tracks.
talks?
I don't remember the DeMar one.
No.
The DeMar one
That's 2
had
years ago MVP talks.
the
okay.
DeMar one had Siakam tied to it, and it actually had some traction. It actually had traction.
Yeah, but they said Siakam wasn't a moving piece for them. That was the whole reason they didn't end up pushing it through.
It's the simple fact that we were immovable in those situations as well. Like, we didn't want to play ball on the team. That did anyone expect Zach DeMar, Alex Caruso, and all? Did we really expect all of them to still be here? We knew one somebody was going to get moved.
I think I expected them to be here because I know how this front office is building things.
Yeah, I expected them to be.
I did. I never didn't expect them to be here. I think what I didn't expect was the commitment to them being the number one guys no matter what. To a point where you're not playing younger guys for them to get out there and actually contribute in ways that you needed them to. Like it was like we had no way with Lonzo Ball, so we were just like, oh, well, we don't know what we're going to do at the point guard position. Should we bring in a point guard? Let's go get Goran Dragic. Like, all you did was complete his plan to not be on the not be getting dunked on. And when you typed in Goran Dragic, Chicago Bulls, that's all you got done.
The one thing about AK2, honestly, is the simple fact that his biggest moves this offseason, to me, which again, we know how this team operates with a certain type of guard. We got Javon Carter.
Well,
that was a miss, but because statistically he was supposed to be
by far a miss. Whoa, hey. You want to talk about a miss? That was you kicked the field goal. That mug just went left.
Went all the way to the left.
Looking at you like, what are you doing?
And the only reason I can say this with confidence is because the player has a podcast himself. He would have played ball with Chicago. Pat Beverly fit Chicago.
We already know why they let him go, though, because there were players on the team like Vooch that didn't back his type of attitude and his type of mentoring. The young players love Pat, but the older players, the guys that actually ran the team, the stars of the team, didn't vibe with Pat. Man, that's the problem with this team is they don't have that championship mentality. Pat knows what it takes at least to win, in my opinion.
Oh, Pat's looking up and counting. What's happening?
I'm saying championship mentality, like when he got a ring. You know what? No. You know what? No. Let me again. I had to retrace my words twice today. My bad. Playoff mentality.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm like, what the Pat got a ring at? I'm like,
yeah,
I don't remember Pat having a ring.
Playoff mentality. I'm talking crazy. Yeah. Because they're soft. Exactly, Lamont.
But my favorite part about this is, and why I think that the Bulls are in an interesting situation now, is because there's a change that had to happen. And it's happening no matter what. Because now, you didn't want Pat Bev's type of player in there, right? Y'all hear Coby White on the side? Y'all hear Coby White on the court?
Mm-hmm.
Coby barking. Coby sitting there, hey, what are you doing? You missing your assignment. Coby yelling out defensive assignments is the greatest thing that I've seen on a basketball court ever. Because I'm just like, bro, he really cussing mugs out for missing a defensive assignment and getting into the guys and saying, listen, let's go. Like, we gotta make better plays here. It's not to say that it's enough. They still struggling to get into some of these games early. I think they finna get clapped tonight. I mean, like, Ant-Man is coming tonight. It's about to be
getting posterized.
Yeah. Over and over.
Ain't no need to fight back on that one. Might as well just take that one.
Kill. But I just like I believe that there's a change that could happen with the Bulls now, where Zach Lavine, I think he has to come back, right? And I don't know if you're going to change the perception of him next season. So he's probably going to be here for the duration of this contract. Zach Lavine, when he came back and played that Klay Thompson role those first couple of games where he was trying to get himself back going, the perfect Zach Lavine.
Yep.
The exact player I need on my team. The player to me that leads this team in a way that makes the most sense for who he is. Knocked down 3 balls, was able to get to the rim, was able to get fouls, played good defense.
Played aggressive on
Coby
defense.
White was the number 1.
Yep.
And it's crazy to say we've got to a point where I'm like, Coby White got to be the number 1. But the dynamic has shifted now to who is the big dog in the room. And I don't think the big dog is any of the older veterans on the team. Maybe DeMar DeRozan is still big dog in like leadership role. But I've said this a couple of times. We see what DeMar leadership gets you. I mean, like all the players he took out west got worse.
All I'm gonna say is this: I would love to see what Coby White and Zach look like with 15 games without DeMar, and we haven't really seen that.
I mean, we saw it for a couple of games. You say Coby White, Coby White and Zach Lavine.
Coby White, Zach Lavine. This version of Coby White,
without DeMar.
Without DeMar,
you're gonna get
15 games.
You
need 15 games to do it. 15 games.
How many games is after the
Coby White, Zach Lavine.
You gonna get about 29 of it, because I don't think he's here past the deadline. Last time we heard anything about DeMar contractually, we're far apart on years and money.
Wait, did you say Coby White without Zach and DeMar, or with Zach and without DeMar?
With Zach and P. Will without DeMar.
Technically, we did see that.
You got to wait till next season for that.
I mean, technically, we did see that. It was just young Coby.
Yeah, I'm just saying this version of Coby with Zach Lavine, I think can coexist. Not only I think it can coexist. No. I actually think that they'll be just as impactful when it's just as many games, because as much as we love to talk about how good they played, they still under 500.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly, right? And I don't think you've gotten the most out of this team. I think there's something missing that is very key with this team. A player like Zach Lavine. But a player like Zach Lavine with the mindset that this ain't my team no more.
And I don't believe that has to be the case. That's what we do.
I do, because I think here's the thing. Yes, there were always games where Klay Thompson would knock down more points than Stephen Curry. He would be, boom, he's 62. Steph's taking the night off. He's basically just running up and down the court. But the thing that you always knew was if it got to crunch time, I'm giving this basketball to Stephen Curry. The thing that you always knew was if it gets to a moment where we need a bucket, I'm giving this basketball to Stephen Curry, unless Klay's going ballistic like he does every time he comes to Chicago. Right? Like you knew who the number one on the team is. I think the mistake they made before was not establishing that. And now I think you have an opportunity to right that wrong with a young player that's going to be here on a 2 more years on this deal at a team-friendly rate. You need to get the most out of him that you can right now. Because if you can figure out, is he truly a number one over the next 2 years on a $10 million deal a year? You won. All of the stuff we're saying right now means nothing because you won. A young player developed under your tutelage and turned into a number one.
And I feel that.
That's the only way they got out now. And I think that it does work with Zach Lavine, but only if Zach Lavine, and I think this was the problem, was Derrick Rose ever going to be able to be the number two here?
No.
I don't believe he would have been.
No.
Perception wouldn't have allowed him to be.
Mm-hmm.
He's Chicago's son.
Yep.
I think you had to move on. Now, moving on from Jimmy was crazy. That was just dumb. But I do think that you had to move on from Derrick because you were never going to get the most out of Jimmy.
You know, the funny thing is, here's the thing. I don't think Coby currently does anything that Zach can't do, but I do still feel like Zach can do things that Coby can't. And there's a rhyme and reason as to why they can coexist. And I that's just really what I see there. And
I think Coby can consistently pass.
I think but that means he's a different playmaker than Zach. But as far as like, you know, Zach is still a 50, 40, 80 player. And he's like a mid 80. So it's like 85,
Zach is a 48, or he was 49, 48, 80.
Yeah, and Coby is not even close to that, right? So from an efficiency, like Coby's not
Who just had a 50, 40, 90 month? Somebody just had a 50, 40, 90 month on the Bulls.
Statistically speaking, he's not close to that. He had a good month. He had a good, any player can have a good month, but like when you average it out over a season, like Zach is
Io. I think that was Io.
Io. Yeah, it was Io. I was trying to think of that too. I did see the image. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like when I say that, people think I'm trying to kill him. It's like, no, some people are just high volume, the type of shots they take and stuff like that. It just is what it is. AI is my favorite player, one of my favorite players of all time. He was trash on efficiency. It's just not what his game was, right? Yeah. So like I think Coby is a different type of playmaker, but I think their styles can complement each other in a way that doesn't allow it to happen with DeMar there, and I think it doesn't allow it to happen with Vooch there, because Vooch is still a big man whose style of play requires him to have the ball. And I'm sorry, Vooch is just not that same guy
when they
that
give
we
him the
need.
ball. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's just what I see on the court. I'm not saying it's right, things of that nature, but like Drummond fits that team better because he's a rim running, rebounding
Thank you for
machine
saying that.
who knows he can put he's going to rebound and get putbacks. That's what
Problem
he
with,
lives on.
but
He's
the
going to do the
Vooch
dirty
doesn't
work.
live off that.
Yeah, but the difference with Drummond is I can't count on you to be out there. Like that don't work for me either. Like I get like people want Drummond to be out there, but it's like I would love for Drummond to be out there, but the reason Drummond ain't out there is Drummond.
Absolutely.
The reason
Or
Andre
how he's
Drummond can't be
officiated.
on the court as a starter is because one game he gonna give you 26 and 20, and you gonna be this man killing. How we don't play him? And then the next game he gonna give you 11 and 10 on 15 minutes because I couldn't play him in the whole first half because in the first 6 minutes he picked up 4 fouls. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But I also think it's how he's officiated. Like Dwight Howard had the same
That's
issue.
not gonna change.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
that's not gonna change.
That's like saying Justin Fields is going to get what is it, roughing the passer call.
A roughing the passer call.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
It ain't happening.
Hey, man, I think that there's a lot of interesting things happening around the city of Chicago right now, and the Bulls are, I know it's gross, but they are a little bit more interesting now with the trade deadline coming up. What are they going to do? Probably nothing. Is anything going to change? More than likely not. Then next time on Dragon Ball Z. No, I appreciate y'all for tuning in to show and love. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. For the pettiest man alive, Mr. P Kid, and of course, Jordan JC, host of Chicago Bears Breeze, Kid, host of Chicago Bulls Breeze. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Peace. Oh yeah, Joe was here too.